What is up, everybody? Welcome once again to my YouTube channel, and today let's continue with another round of the COR Championship. In fact, it is round 21, the last round of the first season of the Chicane Online Racing Championship, and we are at Abu Dhabi for the Emirates Grand Prix. And we are now starting our qualifying comparison between Ruben and El Nabo, both Portuguese drivers of this league, both qualifying on the super soft tires as they approach turn 1, clipping the apex quite nicely. Ruben a little bit of difficult on the exits with the traction, but nevertheless we are going uphill through corners 2 and 3 and now downhill onto the heavy braking zone onto turn 4. Let's see who gets the edge. At the entry of the chicane it is actually Ruben who clips the corner with much more speeds than El Nabo, and is already one car length of advantage, it looks like. As we are now approaching the hairpin, looks like Ruben has a tidier exit, and that allows him to get onto the power sooner. As you can see, there is already a difference between both of them as they are using the RS and going just through this Pirelli sign. There is a slight difference as they go onto another heavy braking zone into turns 6 and 7, I believe these are, and prepare ourselves for another very long straight. This is actually more like a left kink, but nevertheless it is very easily flat out in an F1 car as we open the RS once again, up to the gears once again, look for the 100-meter marker board for another heavily braking zone. As you can see, we have still one car length of advantage as we are just on that white line just ahead of El Nabo, and we are going through this double chicane. Looks like we even did it faster than El Nabo, carrying more speed to each apex, and we are going to compound our advantage even more as we approach this very technical last sector. It is very difficult to spot the braking zone of into this double apex right-hander, if I can call it that. And now easy on the throttle with the traction. It is very hard to get a good lap done around here, and looks like both of them got it perfectly nailed. As we approach now the final corner, we get the spot on. El Nabo brakes on the curbing and loses traction, and that is the difference of 1.3 seconds as we cross over the line. Moving on to the results, Alpha, the newcomer, actually got pole position on the ultra softs, followed by me and Jamie both on the super softs, then Fernando, Shizel, Bandicoot, Alex, El Nabo in 8, Shady in P9, and Billy Greenham rounding up the top 10 with Cuckoo and Joe M91 in 11th and 12th, then Rogue 13th, Speedkiller 14th, Frozen Luffy 15th, and Omer surprisingly not setting a qualifying time, starting in last place 16th. And so with that, let's move on into the race, shall we? The drama has unfolded. Man and machine alike have been put to the test through the trials and tribulations, the twists and turns of an F1 calendar, and we get to experience that one last time as we approach the start of the last Grand Prix of the season, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here on the Yas Island today through 21 corners and a lap distance of around 5.5 kilometers, with plenty of opportunities to pass, with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places at turn 8 and turn 11. Plenty of close racing then, plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps to come. All good things must come to an end, as they say, and as we prepare to join the drivers, let's just hope it all ends with a blast. As we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go for the Emirates Grand Prix as Billy Greenham gets a massive start. Just he started P10 in this already P5, side by side with Chisel approaching turn 1, and he goes on the inside line and he gets Chisel, maybe a touch there as Chisel goes into the wall, maybe a leg contact, but Billy Greenham with a dream start from P10 up to P4 as we got a good start. We managed to fend off from Jamie, we are just not able to catch Alpha as he started on the ultra soft tires. So let's see how it goes from here as we try to get the better traction as we can onto this very long straight, but Jamie using the slipstream and rich mix. We obviously do not have the RS available yet, and he is going to overtake us as he's going on rich mix, now back down to standard. But as we underfueled the car, as you might have been able to see, we just cannot use the rich mix as long as we want to, as we underfueled the car to make the tires last a little bit longer than Jamie's. And he's coming back at us using the slipstream under the braking zone for this double chicane. We get the inside line, but now, I mean the outside line, but now the inside line onto the middle sector of it, and we get retaining on our position, as we are now following with Omer, who's already started and is up to P14 and gets little blocked by Shady. As this now gets blocked once again by Shady, he has to slow down massively and is going to just get mugged by Frozen Luffy and Speed Killer, who just blow past them as we approach now the double chicane. Going through it, I believe we are going to see, yes, we are going to see yellow flags and El Nabo spun rounds. So we only got to see the tail end of it, so let's see another angle, this time out from Cuckoo, and let's see what he can do, as Alex loses the backhand at the outside of that chicane and tags El Nabo trying to control the car. El Nabo got demoted to 11, but he's still side by side with Cuckoo at the moment. He is taking the slipstream off of Shizzle as he goes round the outside of Cuckoo, and then Alex comes from the outside of the corner onto the inside line and swoops El Nabo round. A completely reckless maneuver there, but nevertheless we are continuing with this race, and we see Omer getting back up through the grid, and he's overtaking Speed Killer at the last corner, taking advantage of a very bad exit of Speed Killer of the second to last corner. We are now moving back onto the front of the pack, as we are now in lap 2, and Jamie is filling our mirrors. You just see a red and white blob behind us. As you can see, he has the slipstream once again. He's going through the outside, but we cover him quite nicely and still maintain our second position as we jump now onto lap 3, and we have now Jamie's perspective, and as you can see now he has DRS and rich mix and the slipstream. You only can use the standard rich mix at the moment, and we are just a sitting duck to the Ferrari. As you can see, we bang wheels, he pushes me a little bit wide, closing the door on me, and he gets a very good maneuver done to get up onto P2. Let's see if we can get back on him with DRS, but it looks like not, because we cannot use rich mix at the moment. Now back onto the field once again with Omer, as he's approaching Joe, who is in a massive train of at least 4 cars, I believe, and Joe with a very poor exit. Omer getting DRS, Joe will probably have it as well, as he is quite lagging. Now approaching the double chicane, let's see what he can do. Joe outbreaks himself, he's going on the inside of Bandicoot, they both get tangled, and then he hits Homer, and he probably has spun round, since we only have the arrow of Bandicoot right behind Homer, so I believe Jamie has spun round due to that contact. And Homer is up to P10, up to the points paint positions only after 4 laps, I believe that was. We are now jumping onto lap 5, still with Homer, as he is approaching Rogue, and they're going side by side onto the chicane, and Rogue gives him completely no space at all, and Homer gets a very damaged front wing. Rogue actually rejoins the track and is battling now with one of the Williams, I believe it is Joe M91, but that forced Homer to come home into the pits for a set of the soft tires, I believe those are going to be, and he is also going to replace his front wing, so that is going to be a very lengthy pit stop for him. So let's just see how long it is going to take. 8.7 seconds, and he is now going to rejoin the track at dead last. Alex has already disconnected from the race, and it took so long that even the ghost car overtook Homer. So he has quite a lot of work to do, as we have now Rogue battling with Joe M91 for what is 6th place as they approach the double chicane side by side through there, and there is a weird contact. I believe they were actually 3 wides through there with El Nabo, and just Rogue could not see anything, but then he gets tagged by Billy Greenham, I believe, and he spun round the 2nd time. So an unfortunate sequence of events for Rogue, even though we might be saying that that was a little bit of karma for his incident with Homer, but nevertheless, moving on into lap 7, we have now Jamie right in front of us. As you can see, our tires are starting to get heavily worn, and we are going to use the slipstream. Even though I don't think we dispose of the rich mix just yet, we can get the move done right past Jamie into this braking zone. Let's see who gets the better traction out of the chicane, as Jamie is definitely going to get the RS off of me. So let's see if he can respond. As you can see, he might even be able to do so. We give him the inside line. He doesn't outbrake himself too much, but we give him the space anyways. We bang wheels, but we still conserve our first place, as we are on the lead of the race after Alpha's going into the pits for a set of the soft tires. Now still in lap 7, but further back onto the pack, we have now Omer coming up to Rogue after Rogue's antics with Billy Greenham and Joe M91. And we are now going through the second to last corner. Let's see how it goes. He's very slow. Omer almost knocks him on his rear end. And very deep for Omer onto the last corner, but I don't think Rogue has the traction to pull off a defensive maneuver. And as you can see, a very easy maneuver of Omer to get up onto P14. As we are now jumping onto lap 10, and Omer is just flying through the field. He has caught up with Cuckoo, who gets a very bad exit out of the chicane, losing the back end completely. And he is now going to have the RS and the slipstream and rich mix to try to overtake the Sauber driver. The Sauber driver gives him the inside line for the first part of the chicane in just completely dive bombs, or maybe Cuckoo just broke a little bit too soon. And Omer gets it done up to P12. As we are now coming up to Speed Killer, and he's just slowing down. He's pulled off into the side and he's slowing down for some odd reason. Maybe a puncture, because he also let Cuckoo by, so maybe some difficulties for Speed Killer. As we are now back onto Ruben, and Alpha is spraying on his review mirrors, but as you can see, I don't know exactly what happens there, but Alpha is spun round. I think he got tagged with me due to lag. I think he was a little bit too greedy on his trying to get the slipstream out of me for as long as possible, and he paid the price. As we are now going on to the pit stop with Jamie right behind us. Jamie gets a 2.3 seconds of a pit stop. We get a 2.4, and we actually overshoot that corner, so he's going to get a few tenths on me as we are going to rejoin the track. I believe it is still in second place, but we have, crucially, we have Fernando separating me and Jamie. So Jamie still has to get some work done in order to come up to me, as we are now in beginning lap 13, and Omer has come up to Shady, who must have pretty worn super soft tires, and just lets Omer by. Omer just goes around the outside with a very easy maneuver to come up with, to P7, as we have now Cuckoo battling with Billy Greenham in lap 13. And he's actually going to have DRS and the slipstream, and he's going to outbrake the Williams driver, and he's actually getting the move done. So up to P9 for the Sauber driver. But as we move on to further into the lap, we are just now approaching the last corner, and we get some kind of lag incident. Cuckoo was just thrown into the wall, nothing he could have done there. So absolutely a passenger through that sequence, as we have now Jamie onto the last corner to start lap 15. He gets a very good exit compared to Fernando, who must have very worn super soft tires, and Jamie just breezes past him with better top speed and gets up to P3. So he now has a clear road ahead of him to try to make some inroads on our leads, as we are now back with Omer in lap 16 as we go through that massive back straight. DRS, rich mix, and the slipstream is going to get him alongside Frozen Luffy with the speed differential as we approach the heavy braking zone onto the chicane, and Omer just nails it perfectly. And let's see now who gets the better exit, as Frozen Luffy can very well come back at the Turkish driver using the RS and the slipstream of his own. As you can see on his mirrors, Frozen Luffy is closing in, is already side by side and onto the braking zone. Frozen Luffy outbreaks the Turkish driver of the manor and retakes 6th position, so a very nice defensive maneuver from the Haas driver there. As we are now jumping onto lap 19, Frozen Luffy has already come into the pits, and now it is Fernando catching up to Omer as he just breezes past on a new set of super soft tires, as Omer has very worn soft tires, I believe, at this point in time, or at least a couple of laps more worn out. as Omer goes into the pits at lap 20 to make a switch onto a set of the super soft tires, and he is now going for a stint of 8 laps on the railed-walled compound. So let's see where he comes out of the pits. I believe he's going to come out in P9 ahead of Billy Greenham. No, actually, yes, he is ahead of Billy Greenham, as he was just side by side with Frozen Luffy through the exit. And just a couple of corners later, we get a remake of lap 16, I believe, as it is once again Frozen Luffy side by side with Omer going into the chicane, and Omer gets better traction out of this chicane with his fairly new red-walled compound tires, and is going to get away from him. I don't think Frozen Luffy is going to get a chance of coming back this time around, and he does not indeed. And it is 6th place for Omer, as we are now in lap 22, and we finally Jamie has caught up to us after overtaking Fernando, and he's going to have DRS and the slipstream and possibly even reach mix, and he's going to go around the outside as I give him that side of the track. I cover him nicely on the chicane, but now with the exit, let's see who gets the better traction. I believe it was Jamie, and he's already catching up to me even without DRS, so he's now just coming side by side with us. He's going to pass clear of me even before the braking zone, and we have no chance there but to concede first place to Jamie, as we are now just trying to find a gap to maybe respond to him, as we are now jumping onto lap 24, and we have Alpha with a brand new set of the super soft tires, and he is very quick today, massively quick compared to us, and he's going around the outside on the chicane. I give him that room, and we bang wheels, but he gets through, and then Jamie losing his back end massively, and then comes back onto the track quite dangerously. We had to lift off the throttle and maybe even hit the brakes, and that cost us a few tenths, and not a very good exiting speed out of the hairpin, as Jamie is now battling with Alpha for the lead of the race. As you can see, Jamie is now side by side with Alpha through the chicane. I believe Jamie is going to get a better traction. As you can see, he is going to have definitely DRS, and he's probably going to have another go at the Mercedes driver, as they are now going side by side through the double chicane. Let's see who gets the upper end. I believe it is Alpha once again getting the outside line and getting in front of Jamie. Jamie also has a look on the inside this time around, but he's very slow through the apex. And that whole battling made a very big mark on his tires apparently, since he comes into the pits in lap 25 for a set of the ultra soft tires, as we are now in lap 27 with Omer just breezing past Shizzle. I don't know if Shizzle is going to is conserving fuel at the moment, but nevertheless that was a rather easy maneuver for Omer, unless Shizzle can get back at him, but looks like not. We cannot see the arrow on his screen, so there's really not much of track to for Shizzle to be able to get past Omer once again, as we are now jumping onto the last lap. So Alpha is going to cross over the line in first place, but actually he was just trying out for the league, and since we do not have any mock races left, he was actually trying out at this race, so it does not count for the standings. And saying that, we are going to through the last corner and crossing over the line to take the win at the last race of the championship. We take the win at the Emirates Grand Prix. So now going into the results, we have Ruben winning the Grand Prix, followed by Jamie and Fernando closing the top 3. Then we have Omer in 4th, Shizzle in 5th, El Nabo 6th, Frozen Luffy in 7th, Bandicoot in 8th, Billy Greenham in 9th, and Shady closing the top 10 with the last of the runners, Joe M91 in 11th place. I believe he was the last of the finishers. And now onto the standings, we have Omer winning the championship, 285 points, then Ruben in 2nd with 248, then we have El Nabo in 3rd with 194, Jamie in 4th finishes the championship with Juno right behind him, only 3 points behind, then we have Shizzle in 6th with 156 points, Bandicoot in 7th with 131, then Alex with 118, Frozen Luffy in the ass with 99 points, and Speed Killer closing the top 10 with 84 points, as we now move on to the Constructors Manor, win the championship for the Constructor standings with Ferrari over 150 points behind. Then we have Force India with almost 300 points occupying the last podium position. Then we have Mercedes with 194 points, Red Bull in 5th with 181, Toro Rosso in 6th, then Renault in 7th, just 6 points behind. Then we have Haas 13 points behind, occupying 8th place, McLaren in 9th with 30 points, 4 points behind. We have Williams in 10th and Sauber in 11th place with 11 points, closing up the standings. So I hope you guys enjoyed the report for the last race of the championship. A very long season indeed, but very fun moments throughout all of those races. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you liked it. If you disliked it, the dislike button is right beside it. Subscribe if you want to see more seasons of this championship and the career modes, as I'm going to pump all those videos out to make a push until the release of F1 2017. Hope to see you guys in the next race and have a wonderful day.